Hello and welcome to the Black Tower. I'm your host, your guide, your brother, the Sorcerer Armada Soul. It's been a long time. It's been about a good 3 to 4 months. Uh, First off, I want to start off by saying thank you for all the fucking epic emails that I get that I've gotten over the last few months. Uh, it means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. I'm still alive, I'm still kicking it. I didn't quit. I had to step back. I have to, as with anybody who is a practitioner who walks their own path, you find yourself having to step out of the way. You find yourself always having to regroup and always having to recenter yourself, and you're always constantly having to separate yourself from the dross of society. You just have to. Reason why is because you've got the real work is the work that you do on yourself, not the work that you do here. Like you can make a million videos, uh, talking about stuff and trying to teach classes and doing this and doing that. But the greatest lesson or learning experience you can have is one where you yourself are also having to change, also having to adapt, you know. And to do this, you have to step out of the you have to step away from society for a little bit. You just have to, you have to pull a hermit with it. Um, not necessarily cut yourself off, but you have to because it's most important that you have to work with your own beings, your own spirit guides, your own spirit allies. You know, the path of a sorcerer and apotheosis is, it's pretty daunting sometimes. I've been working on a book for a good bit of time, for almost 2 years now. About a year ago, it changed up direction and form and what it was going to take, and I've been working on the first one. It's I won't give any titles away or anything, but I had an excerpt from it. I'm going to share later on in this particular video. But yeah, I'm still alive. I'm still kicking it. Contrary to popular belief, I didn't die. I didn't get killed. Somebody didn't try to take me out or no shit like that. And if they did, good try, fuckers. uh, I'm just kidding. I give a fuck less. Uh, some of the things are though that it's interesting that when you disappear for a little bit, the stories you hear, oh well, such and such was saying this and such was saying that, and this was happening, and that was happening. Well, all that could have been happening. It straight up could have. Could it have had an effect on me? Most certainly, quite possibly. I mean, energy goes where energy goes. There's nothing that can hold back spirit or energy for that matter. So I guess it's all equal and relative. Uh, but no, I had to step back and kind of reassess what I was doing and what I wanted to do and so forth and so on. I was working with Dark Sorcery as one of the fellow admins, and I enjoyed doing that. But I had to step away from it because as much as I like working with other groups and so forth and so on, I found that I was becoming more of what they were in a group, and then that's not what I wanted. I'm too much about this individuality. It's too easy in this day and age to give up who and what you are to fit the masses. To all wear a common mask, a common bond, a common goal. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not for everybody. Some of us are rebels to the core, where we have to walk our own fucking path. We have to forge our own way. We have to light our own flames. We have to be our own light, and we have to be our own shadow and darkness. And we can't allow anything or anyone else to be that for us, but ourselves. It's kind of what I was doing with the Black Tower here. Was just wanted to get on here and show and teach people things. Kind of explain things. Point out some details, stuff that they may not know, that they may not be aware of. You know, wasn't trying to be some great Goomba. I didn't want to be a leader. I give a fuck less about any of that. Believe myself just fine. Uh, you know, uh, I like to teach and share strength and willpower. You know, it's one thing. Everybody needs somebody to help pick them up every now and then. And that's fine. Pick them up, pick each other up. That's what we're here for. Not to be putting each other down or any of that other mess. But yeah, I had to step back, and I had to, I had gone through surgery and everything else, and was finishing out the recouping, and trying to heal up and stuff, and get off crutches and canes and all this other stuff. which I'm still having. I'm still on a cane. That's probably going to be there for quite a while due to some of the longer lasting implications of some of the problems I had, which, neither here nor there, is what it is. Part of gravity. It's just part of our existence, is what we deal with, it's what we cope with. I don't allow anything like that to get me down. Keep me down for that matter. It might get me, but it's not going to keep me. I am the master of my own fate, not someone or something else. That's not going to happen. But no, I wanted to say hello to everybody, and I just wanted to reach back out and say, we're going to try this again. Only this time I'm going to try something a little bit different. I wanted to. I'm still working with the Necronomicon. I have been. I start my third year path working process later on this month, and at any rate, but some of the things that I wanted to talk about was sorcery in general. Some of the secrets that they just don't teach you, they just don't tell you. Some of the really, really neat stuff. To do that though, I'm gonna quote an excerpt from my book that I got while channeling Cain, the blacksmith versus Witchblood, as it's called by Michael W. Ford, and in certain other places. What evil in men's heart lied than when they first thought themselves gods. What's so powerful about that saying is this right here. Think of the ego for just 1 second. To think a thought, in the beginning there was the void, there was nothing. It was the not, that which was not, but that was. The most primal of consciousness was reactionary, was necessary for survival, and that was it. There was no constructive thinking, nothing dialogue like we have nowadays. But the very first spark that came from void, that they call light, was consciousness. The ability to speak and to think and to act that wasn't just pure natural instinct, that wasn't guided by these things, but that could direct them, that could guide them, that could craft and sculpt and create, instead of just in a survival state of being. Now, what's interesting is that mankind, no matter what you believe yourself to be, no matter what you believe yourself capable of or not capable of, or to not be, to think a thing is to recreate the same thing that happened in existence. It was that first spark of light, thought. So on a metaphysical level, the first thought that you have is when you sit there and you say, I am a god. Well, that is the spark. That is that Promethean fire that I've spoken on, at end. But the thing is that with this fire, that what you need to do is you need to be aware of what happened. What did it create? What did it do? Just this thought. We think that thinking a thought in and of itself is empty, is meaningless without action, correct? The thing is, like I've always said, is that spirit and flesh are not separate. They are one and the same, and they act in accord with one another. So a thought immediately has an action, has a consequence, if you will. Now, to think this thing is to give birth to the first shadow. The first shadow is the shadow that we call ego. It is the shadow self. Now, as you progress in these different path workings in sorcery, you start to understand that there are different shadows, so forth and so on. And that these parts actually make up who and what we are. And that these things are what underlies that driven. It's that primal. So what you've done is because of your existence, because we do exist, because we are conscious, what we have done is we have brought thought from the primal. So we have brought that darkness up. And because we think we are gods, because we would dare to think this, because we would dare to believe, because we would dare to remember, what happens is that the first shadow is born. Now, this is where the birth of the ego comes from. I try my best to explain this without, getting too overboard, but enough to where you can understand what I'm talking about. Now, when this first shadow is born, and this is the birth of the ego, this is where the daemon and the HGA and all that come from. When it's born, like a child, it must be taught, and it must be reprimanded and corrected, and so forth and so on. Now, this particular first shadow is the most important part because it will alter and change and be shaped and shifted with us. as we grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and so forth and so on. Because as we rise, it rises. As we fall, it falls. Uh, with that being said and done, then what you have is you have this child that's a very powerful child. It's very, very powerful. You know, it's able to destroy or to create. But it has its needs, and it must be fed. It must be fed. The shadow must always be fed. You know, it's why we do not separate and say that one thing is good and one thing is bad, and that, you know, that there's a separation, there's a difference in those. There isn't. Should be no difference between an angel or a demon if we're, you know, dualizing any of these things, any of these spirits or entities or energies, because the universe is dual in nature. We look at it such a way. However, with this in mind, this shadow, as much as it is a protector and a defender of us, it also at the same time doesn't understand the difference between right and wrong. And I'm not talking about, oh, you shouldn't go out and kill, you shouldn't go out and do this, and you shouldn't do that. That's not the kind of it doesn't understand. All it knows is, because it is made of that primal stuff, the only thing it knows to do is to defend, 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 get what it needs, get what it needs, get what it needs. Well, because we are conscious, we have to interject within it an intelligence, okay? And this is known as the birth of the second shadow, which is a whole nother thing, which I'm not even getting into that in this one. This one, I just wanted to basically talk about the first shadow. Now, the reason why this is so important to me is because this is part of the system that I work. This is something I've been working for over 20 years. Just finding time to like take the time to make a video for it, to explain it, to go over it. Something I never saw myself doing. You know, it's like, you know, some of these things shouldn't be taught, shouldn't be told. And the reason why is because not everybody's ready for it. But the thing about it is I'm doing my best to, you know, come out, open up about it, you know, and maybe put some light on some of these subjects so that people become aware of what it is that they're literally actually doing. Because you can go buy some of the greatest books on magic. You can do any rite, you can do any ritual, you can call any goetic spirit, you can call any of the 50 names, you can call a litany of spirits of the moon, of the lunar mansions, day and night. I mean, the 72, the 144. I mean, you can do any of these, but without a base understanding of what the fuck you're doing, these things have no true power to actually aid the occultist. Rather, it becomes a stumbling block. It kind of like throw you, because then you start to begin worshiping these things instead of understanding that they are forces and powers that hold a design and an order in place, and that they're meant to be mimicked by you, by the individual practitioner, so that in a sense you're able to become like them, so that you're able to do what they do. That's why there is no such thing as one true master, you know, one true teacher, any of this other stuff. You know, some people are a little bit wiser than others, and some people are just full of fucking hot air and just think that they're the shiznizits, and oh, that's, you've got an imbalance, something's fucking wrong with you. You know, those kind of people, those are interesting fuckers. But the thing about it is that we don't have time for that. Let the dead bury the dead. Let them bury themselves, because that's what happens. Power knows power, and weakness knows only weakness. Now then, as we continue on this journey of sorcery and understanding how we can acclimate it to any system we're working, whether you're working the Necronomicon, whether you're working the Goetia, whether you're working the Orbital, it doesn't matter what system you're working. The idea is to find an intrinsic based truth that is very powerful, very strong, and very real, and yet at the same time is able to be worked with in a designed manner, so that you're able to actually grow from it and actually build upon your inner selves using this system. I'm not providing a system or anything like that. I have my own, but I am doing my best to try and explain some of the small parts and pieces. And with this is the first shadow. So imagine the first time they thought, I'm a god. Man says, oh, I'm a god. I'm a god just like anybody else. Okay, great fucking dandy. We're all fucking gods. Super sweet. Give me a second. I'm going to cut off my phone. Damn thing course. One time I'm doing this shit, it wants to fucking go off. Any other time, nobody else wants to fucking blow me up during the day. Now then, the thing is that to think a thing is one thing, but to think it is how you open the door to the potential of becoming, of being. Now the thing is that to think that you're a god, to believe that you're God, or to think that you have to do this and do that to become a god, dude, we're all fucking gods, okay? Every single one of us are fucking gods, okay? So the concept is to open the door. You're a god, right? You're a god. All of a sudden, the first shadow is born. Okay, now I know I'm making this a lot simpler than what it is, but I'm doing this for time's sake. Now then, okay, granddaddy, we're all gods. Boom, shadow's born, right? Okay, the shadow's sitting there and like, yes, and I will defend this, blah blah blah. And we connect with it more and more, and we say, this is my shadow, this is my shadow, and the shadow is like, this is my priest, this is my blah blah blah, or whatever, until eventually you learn that you and it are one and the same being, that it is a raw form that you're crafting and molding over this lifetime, so that at the end of this life you can project your consciousness from this into it, so that it is immortal. And this is a form of death magic. This is necromancy. This is some of the secrets that all these systems would teach you, but everybody fails to put it in words. So the first step is the first shadow. And then this first shadow, it's a child. It's raw, pure power. It's pure primal power. It's a pure primal form. It's like working with a vessel that you're going to inhabit. Well, you've got to mold and make this thing over this lifetime to make this thing to where it's a suitable fucking host. It's a lot like how possession works from spirit to flesh, because the spirits, they don't just enter in you because they can and because they're powerful and because your shields are down, you're weak. No, it's because that's what they're for. This is a vessel, and spirits can get in. Are some stronger than others? Well, yeah, but it also depends on your mind. How strong is your mind? How strong is your will? Have you defended your mind well? Do you have some kind of carnal weakness? Do you have some kind of carnal desire that is literally hampering you? Not saying that you shouldn't have them. I mean, everybody has fucking bodies. But fuck, don't let it roll over your fucking life. Learn to control that shit. Make it your own. Oh, you're gonna go smoke one, you're gonna do a line, whatever. Go fucking do it, but don't fucking make it your life. Just feed your shadow as it is needed to be fed. But fuck, man, come back down to earth. Don't allow it to run away, because see, that's another aspect of that first shadow. That is another aspect of it. It doesn't know enough is enough, or when is when to stop. It doesn't understand any of that. All it knows is pure power, pure potential. And the more that you yourself are focused on a particular thing in your life, this thing will go out of its way to attain that, but it will constantly do it, constantly do it, constantly do it. And the thing about it is that this takes the occultist. It is their responsibility to craft and mold this vehicle, this vessel, this spiritual energetic body, to do as the occultist practitioner projects into it. Its very wheel. This is a vehicle that you're designing your will into. You want to make it a crack hoe? Guess what? That thing ain't gonna be worth a crap, but man, it'll be a lot of fun. You see what I'm saying? I know I'm saying a little bit of humor, because you got to have that. But the truth of the matter is that, I mean, if you're consumed with this, that, and the other, guess what? This vehicle that you're building, that you're working on, this living being, your God form, has all the weaknesses or all the strengths that you have in this life. This is why they make such a big importance on, meditation, on focus, on concentration, on willpower. This is why sorcery is not a path for everybody, because this is what it does. This is what it's for. You might say, well, after all that, then what? How the hell should I know? How deep can you think? How outside the box are you? Are you spiritual or mental? Are you mental or spiritual? Are you both? Are you completely physical? I mean, you got to take all these things into consideration. But when you do, and you figure out who and what you are, then you find out the things that you need to work on. What is it that you need to actually meditate on? Do I need to meditate less on wanting whores and great drugs, or do I need to focus more on meditation and spiritual needs? Or vice versa, because sometimes you can be imbalanced in one just as well as you can the other. So what do? You have to be able to know the difference. You have to know that balance is there. You must maintain it. Like I said, there's no difference between the angels or the demons. There can be no difference because power is just that, power. You know, it's no different than a weapon. Weapons aren't dangerous. It's the ones who wield the weapons that are dangerous. And with that exact same thing, we're going to use that exact same concept when working with the first shadow. All right. Well, trying to keep this down to a dull roar because I don't want to lose too many people. Plus, it's my first video back in 4 months, 5 months, something like that. But with that said and done, I want to wish each and every single one of you peace, blessings, and power till next time. And to my brothers and sisters at the Black Tower, hell and be well. Hell and be well.